Hello, Wolfhounds. I'm here with First Lieutenant Rylan Heimann, and I'm First Lieutenant Chase Plagens. This is Wolfhound Tips. Today, we're going to be talking about the ACFT and ways to improve your score on each individual event. So, here I'm going to go ahead and read through Lieutenant Hymann's stats on the ACFT so you can understand the expertise he has in this specific domain. So, going off, this man is a 600 ACFT with each individual score as a 340-pound deadlift, a 15.3 meter standing power throw, 69 hand release push-ups, a 3 minute and 40-second plank, 1 minute and 21-second sprint drag carry, and a 12-minute and 12-second 2-mile run. So as you can see by those stats, Lieutenant Heimann has mastered all the events, and if you were to extend that scale out, it would be a 640 on the extended scale. Start going through the events, and I want you to walk us through ways that we can prepare for these events and get better at them so that all the Wolfhounds can improve their scores on each one. So first, if you could start talking about the deadlift.
Yeah, so first event right off the bat, it's going to be the deadlift. So the way I'm going to do this is kind of give some workouts that can help improve, and then I'll kind of talk about it a little bit more. So ways to improve the 3-rep deadlift, hex bar deadlifts, obviously like you do on the test. Also using a flat bar, just a normal barbell to do deadlifts and kind of getting used to different grip strength. Feeling the weight in a little bit different position is also going to help you. And then doing movements like RDLs or good mornings, kind of just work that lower back. And then an underrated movement is just doing a front squat. So really activating those quads right there, getting that weight on the front, and then getting some good foundational leg strength. So for the deadlift, it's obvious, right? It's person dependent. Like somebody in DCO, Staff Sergeant Rojas, probably doesn't have to do a deadlift for the next 10 years. He can pick up 340 with one hand. It's not the case for everybody. So for some people, if you're struggling on the deadlift, that consistency going into it is going to help. I wouldn't recommend going in, shocking the body, and just trying to jerk up 340 pounds because you think you might have got stronger. Be consistent, do deadlifts, not crazy amount, but once a week, and do those variations we talked about. Use a hex bar, use a flat bar, throw on some weight with the front squats. But just kind of hitting that consistency over time is, I think, the most important thing. And then obviously take care of yourself. Like if you do not have good form, don't push it. Kind of work low and slow. What I mean by that is like very low weight, low reps, slow, perfect technique, build over time. That's kind of how we'll get from those 280s there to the 320s, just kind of that consistency once per week kind of effort over the duration of a while. So
awesome. All right, we can go ahead and move on. Next, we want to talk about the standing power throw.
Yeah, so standing power throw is probably the most controversial event. Some people love it, that are good at it. Some people hate it. For me, I think it's my favorite event, right? And I think the reason why is because the more you train like an athlete and the more you can move your body in an athletic manner. And what I mean by that is being explosive, being fast twitched, like all the things you'd see with somebody going up and dunking a basketball, those things are going to carry over to standing power throw. So it's a similar thing to deadlift, right? For some people it's super easy, some people it's not. Being taller on the standing power throw is something that's an advantage compared to a shorter guy. So the way to just kind of consistently try to get better at standing power throw is the training aspect of it and then working on the form. So we talk about training, we can do exercises like what I have written down here is vertical box jumps with a medicine ball. It's working that explosive hip movement up where I'm physically jumping. Doing jump squats with a barbell on your back and trying to get as high off the ground as you can. Jump lunges, right? You don't even need weight for these. And then doing other core exercises like decline sit-ups, weighted. So you have a plate on your chest, you're doing these decline sit-ups, kind of working out to get that core strength. And then power cleans, then anything with hip thrusts, kettlebells, that sort of thing. You're going to get better at the standing power throw by being able to move your hips from where they're at and to finish up and out. So you don't want your hips just going forward when you're throwing that ball. You want them up and out, just like you're tackling somebody in football or you're power cleaning, right, to get that weight up. And it needs to be an athletic way. I mentioned dunking a basketball. I've never seen somebody that can dunk that can't max the power throw because of that fast twitch explosion. So it's like you got to train your body to do that. Army, we ruck, we run, we do push-ups. None of that's fast twitch athletic movements, right? It's kind of slower paced things. So train like an athlete, and that's going to be the biggest thing that helps. And obviously there's the form part of it. Get with the people in the companies that you guys are in the platoons that have good form and ask them to give you pointers, right? For some people that might mean get a little bit wider base. I've seen that help people by 1.5 meters by just improving their stance or where they're finishing or how early or late somebody's releasing. So there's little pointers, having somebody else watch or even film your technique in conjunction with these proper trainings of the exercise we talked about is definitely going to help us improve and get to a better point. So
awesome. Let's go ahead and move into the hand release push-up now.
Hand release push-ups, right? Third event. I would say this is the easiest and simplest event to improve, right? Consistency with this is going to take you from being a 40 push-up to be able to max it by just doing push-ups consistently, and not for the next 5 years, but like for a month out, and you will see dramatic growth. And it's super easy, right? You don't need any equipment, you don't need anything. Get down on the ground and do it different time variations. One that I love that has helped me the most is setting a stopwatch on my phone and going at 2 minutes as many reps of push-ups as I can. Not hand release, just normal push-ups. And then after that, doing a minute, as many as I can after a minute break. And then I'll go a minute break, and I'll go 30 seconds, as many as I can. And what you're doing is you're getting to that point of 2 minutes where you're already fatigued, you're already tired, you're already drained. But every rep you're doing after that now throughout the duration of the workout are those stolen reps of after I did my first 60, now these are all where I'm gonna make the growth for the next time. So it's not just dropping down and doing a set of 10 push-ups 10 times throughout the day and be like, oh, I did my 100 push-ups for the day. It would be more beneficial to do 50 push-ups, wait 30 seconds, and then do 25, and then wait a minute and then do another 25. Something like that where you're working under that stress of already being tired. I'm gonna go ahead and share what I'm looking at right here, something that I wrote up a long time ago that helped me, but there's a million different push-up variations that you can do, kind of that follow that same concept where if you work when you're tired, you're gonna get better in those later, not rounds, but the later timing of it, right? Because everybody sees it's super easy to do the first minute, but then those last 10 seconds, like how many people are getting more than 1 or 2 push-ups? Really rare, right? So kind of just being able to work to that point where I'm already fatigued, doesn't matter, I can still crank out reps because I've trained in this kind of feeling, this environment before.
Awesome. Go ahead and talk about the sprint drag carry now.
Yeah, sprint drag carry, smoker, not fun. This is just an event where, just like the sprint drag carry, right, it's a combination of high heart rate and using some lower body strength. So ways to mimic that, go find a hill by where you live, do things like hill sprints. Go to Martinez gym, push a sled, drag, right? You can pick up kettlebells and move. It's any movements or any kind of things you have to do where my heart rate's high, my legs are tired, and I'm doing both those things at the same time, not exclusively. Squatting's gonna help and running's gonna help, right? Like getting on a track, sure, like those are good. But training those things in conjunction with one another, like the hill sprints, like the sled pushes, that's really just what's gonna help to where now I know that my body is okay with moving with a heart rate in that kind of anaerobic capacity, as opposed to just getting out and running 3 miles super slow. So relatively simple for the training progression of that. And then work carry stuff too. Like if it's hard for you to carry the kettlebells there, you can always do farmer's carry variations, things like that, just get grip strength better and also move with weight. So
it seems like a lot of people struggle to drag the sled as well. Training for some of these other events like the deadlift and doing the front squats might help with that.
Yeah, just increasing that strength. Absolutely.
Okay, talking about the plank now.
I don't think anybody's gonna like this answer. I don't know if you're gonna like this answer. I would normally never give somebody this advice in any other exercise, but at some point in time, there's that little button you gotta hit that just like suck it up. Just do it. I like training core. I think it's important. I think there's a million things you can do that are gonna improve your core strength. But when it comes down to it, push comes to shove, whether you did a plank a month before and you did this whole train up for the plank or you didn't do it at all, like there's gotta be that mental fortitude, or that intestinal fortitude there, and just that willpower to be timed, sit in an uncomfortable position for 3 minutes and 40 seconds and kind of just complete the challenge. I think that is the biggest issue with it personally. It's not people's physical capabilities of whether or not they can max it. It's them versus themselves. It's a mental thing. So take a deep breath, know it's gonna suck, you're there with your buddies, sing a song in your head, whatever it's gotta be. But at some point, especially for this event, you kind of just gotta suck it up and do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree there, but
no, pride lasts forever.
Yeah.
Stay out.
Yeah.
All right, lastly, we'll talk about the run.
Yeah, 2 mile run. 3 main ways to improve running in general. Long, slow distance stuff, right? Where you're getting that zone 2 aerobic base, slow, hour-long runs, like timed, right? Just creating a foundation. Obviously, that's gonna help even a short event like a 2 mile. And then you kind of have those moderate paces where you might run at like an 8 or an 8:30 for 3 or 4 miles, where it's kind of that in between, where it's not zone 2. I don't want to have a conversation. It's a little uncomfortable, but I'm still kind of pushing it. My legs are feeling a little bit. But then third, and most importantly, and what I don't see enough from people is any interval work, especially on a track. It pays dividends to go on a track, to beforehand be prepared, get out a pace calculator on your phone and say, if I want to run a 13-minute 2-mile, what does that mean for an 800 split? What does that mean for a 1600 split? What does that mean for a 400? Because if I can train and teach my body what it feels like to run a 400 at, let's just use a 12-minute, right, for example, to keep the math easy, at a 130, right, 90 seconds to do 400 meters. Mm-hmm. That means it's 3 minutes to do an 800, a half mile, a 6-minute mile, right, and then a 12-minute 2-mile. So you start doing this math of breaking it up. If I want to run a 12-minute 2-mile, the only way to do that is to be able to run a 90-second 400. I have to be able to feel what that pace is. So then when it's game day, I've already got my reps of 400s in. I've already got my 800s. I've already got my 1200s. I got my 1600s. Now I can go and say, I know what that feels like for my body at a shorter distance. Now I just got to put it all together. I don't need to get out the gate and run my first 400 in 45 seconds, right? Let's feel what that pace is. Kind of training at that on a track is super valuable, especially with intent, not just go out and run 2 laps. It is like, I'm going to look down at my watch every 200 meters and make sure that I'm hitting my pace. And that's how all world-class track athletes do it, right? They don't just go out there and run. They have out there extremely disciplined coaches that are hitting paces, and if they don't do it, it doesn't count, like all that sort of thing. So best way to improve 2-mile, hop on the track, have some intent with that.
Awesome. All right, lastly, I have one more question for you. We've talked about 6 different events with varying needs to do well in each event. We have deadlift that requires strength. You have the power throw, those fast twitch muscles, and the run, which is a little more aerobically based. I want to ask, as somebody who has excelled at each event, how do you balance building a training plan that allows you to do each thing well, rather than having a strength and a overwhelmingly large weakness?
Yeah, so similar to what we hit on earlier, it's person dependent, right? Some people might be very good runners and not as good at deadlifting. Vice versa. Some people might be able to deadlift 340, but they can't run a 2-mile in 20 minutes. However, when you look at the event and how it is broken down, there's 6 events, right, where everything is weighted equally. Every event on that list is 100 points. So whether I'm a world-class runner or I'm the strongest guy in the battalion, I still want to treat every event with the same level of importance here. So what I mean by that is train consistently in all facets. Right, so do your normal training like you would, right? If that means you're on whatever lifting split or you're on a push-pull, like legs lifting, sure, do all that. But what I think we don't do enough is ACFT-focused days, right? So that's getting in the gym and saying, hey, I'm only giving myself 6 exercises to go execute in the gym. And each one of these exercises is going to be in the order of the ACFT, and it's going to mimic an ACFT event, right? So something that I used when I first trained up for my first ACFT back in ROTC at the University of Oregon was, like, here's an example day right here. I'd start it out, and my first exercise would be something that would improve my deadlift, and I would be straight bar deadlifts, where I would do 20 reps at 33% of my max weight, 12 reps at 50%, right? And getting all the way to the point where I'm doing 4 reps at 85% of that weight. So what I just did is I did more deadlifts than I'm going to be asked to do on test day. I immediately go into that event and work on something that's going to help my standing power throw. So what we talked about, like, right, core strength, fast twitch. For this day, it was doing decline sit-ups with a 10 to 25 pound plate, really exploding on the way up. That's done. I get my 4 sets done of that. I'm getting into my push-up improvement. Whether that's our timed intervals like that, whether it's reps, like doing I call it a trifecta, where you do regular, wide, into diamonds, and you start at a number like 10 for each, 10, 10, 10, and then 9, 9, 9, you build all the way down to 1, right? Push-ups are done. Now my body understands what it feels like to go from deadlift to using my core to doing push-ups. So now I got to work on the sprint drag carry here, right? So at that point, something like 20 kettlebell swings, superset with 20 box jumps, right? So now I'm getting used to it. I'm training like I would on the ACFT, going into some sort of core workout after that to improve the plank. I still like leg tucks. I still think it's a good way to improve core strength. Do something like that. And then when you're done with it, go run at the end, right? How often are we going to the gym and then actually running afterwards like we do on test day? Almost never, right? Like, we just don't see it. It's either like we are lifting or we are running. You want to get good at the ACFT and you want to be ready on test day, you got to be able to do a run. And that doesn't mean go and do all out 2-mile, but do some sort of track workout, some pyramid. Go run 3 miles at a moderate pace after you've already done this workload, because when your body is used to conditioning, now it's a full body workout. Now on test day, I'm a little bit comfortable. I'm a little bit familiar. That workout was harder than the ACFT is because I was consistent with it. Last thing I want to say with that is I wouldn't make this an entirety of a training plan. I wouldn't go into the gym every single day and do ACFT days like I have written out, I just described. But do it once a week. Do it once every other week. Do it a month out before an ACFT and try to get a couple days in before you go test it, right? Because kind of that familiarity and teaching your body to go from one exercise to the other and use different muscle groups is going to be the best way to where we show up on game day and we can put it all together and get the highest score possible that we can get.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate all the input and look forward to raising our ACFT scores up and getting a bunch of 600s, and just thanks for everything, Rylan.
Appreciate it. Check the folder too. I'll share the files in there. Thanks, guys.